I'm gonna share the link real quick. Sorry about the pop. That way, I saw Tim in the chat, so crap. I already missed keystroke right there. Of course. Because I am trying to finish my small dinner, but I don't want to keep you guys waiting too long. So if Tim can come in here, that would help me out. I would greatly appreciate that, Tim. Not to put you on the spot, I'm just saying I would appreciate it. That'd be like awesome. All right, here we go. I think that should be right. Okay, there we go. There is the streamer link, because here's the thing. Some people like these channels that hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on. Forgot the TV was up. Hold on. Nate, just show your face real quick. That way we know it's not a fake Nate. I might let you guys talk for a minute. Okay, I got you, buddy. I'm gonna finish eating and mute my mic, and that way you two can talk. Okay?
Yeah, good. All right. I looked up a stat today. West Virginia is 0-2 for the first time in 43 years. 1979 under Frank Signetti Sr. is the last time that we started the season 0-2.
Oof.
1979. So, and that was Frank Signetti Sr.'s last year coaching West Virginia. So, so that same holds true this year.
That's not good for West Virginia.
No, and so I was kind of working on a little video about that. The 43 years. I mean, that's pretty sad, really. I can understand the Pitt loss, the Kansas loss. I guess that's yet to be determined because we don't know how good Kansas is yet. But still, West Virginia with a program that's established and should be pretty well established, going against Kansas, who's not been an established program for over a decade, and losing to them is
the
same thing can be said for Texas last year. So
yeah.
What's going on, Nate?
Not much. I'm happy that Scott Frost is fired. I mean, but at the same time, I kind of feel bad for the guy because he loves Nebraska so much. But he has to go though, or he already did. But I mean, I get it. He loved Nebraska with all his heart, but he can't be a coach that has high expectations and just lay a big fart on the team, whoever it is. I don't know.
Well, let me get your perspective on this, Nate. So I hear a lot of people saying, a lot of Nebraska fans and a lot of other people saying they should go after Urban Meyer. How would Ohio State and Michigan feel about Urban Meyer coaching at Nebraska?
Pretty perturbed. I know Michigan fans hate Urban Meyer, so I do too. So I think everybody hates Urban Meyer as a person, but as a head coach, you gotta respect him as of his record because he's a really good coach. Is he top 5 or top 10? I don't know for coaching.
Coaching? Oh, I'd say he would be if he was in coaching, he would be a top 5 coach. Pretty easy, I would say. I mean, the man just don't lose games.
No, he can recruit.
He can recruit and he can coach. But the problem is he can also make up some crazy stories and get out of coaching when something's going wrong. He doesn't like turmoil. Any kind of turmoil around him, all of a sudden you'll get sick and I can't do it no more. I got to retire.
He's like,
that rich got to go run on a stripper's lap. So
But yeah, it's official. J.D. McCarthy is actually the starter for the season for Michigan. So I think that's a win-win for Michigan as my team. If he stays healthy, he could exceed expectations with Michigan. So who knows?
Yeah. Matt T. Zipper, can you show your face? Have to show yourself on camera there, Matt T. Zipper.
Yeah.
Just for a second before you bring it, you can turn it back off when you come on.
Yeah, you got to turn your camera on for just a second, Matt T. Zipper. What's going on, Tim?
Oh, sorry. Let me mute my bad. Okay. How's it going, guys?
Good, how are you?
Good. What would you think?
Hanging in there? Rough weekend.
Who do you think would be a next coach at Nebraska?
Say again?
Who do you think could be the next coach at Nebraska?
Oh, that's a wild thought. I know one thing. It won't be Urban Meyer.
Yeah, he said Urban Meyer.
Who fits the culture? Probably. I don't know if anybody would fit the culture better than Campbell at Iowa State. I think Matt Campbell would be great.
I agree. He's got a good thing going there at
Iowa State.
But he just won the he just won the Cy Hawk, right? So check that off. He got that monkey off his back. And sometimes you gotta strike when the iron's hot. He had a rough season last year. And he's getting these offers right now. I think he'd be best to make that move because you get a big fat paycheck going to Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
In life, if you don't make that jump at the right time, it might just pass you by.
Yep.
What do you say, Matt T. Zipper?
What's up, guys? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
My phone's messing up. It echoes really bad.
Yeah,
so just let me know if it does.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you good.
I just wanted to say, well, how does it feel to lose to Kansas at home?
Well, I know it sucks, but Kansas is a lot better team this year than they were last year. So
Yeah.
I'm yanking your crank, man. It sucks though. I feel you.
Yeah, it does. It really sucks. I am interested to see them play. No, they play Houston this week, right?
Yeah.
Houston just lost to Texas Tech. I would be interested if they can beat Houston. Then I would be pretty confident that they're a lot better program than they were.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if you remember. I think it was 2008 or I can't remember. I think it was 2008.
I heard you say 2008, but I couldn't tell where you was going with it, Matt T. Zipper.
I think he's fixing.
And you're muted. You're muted in case you didn't know. I believe where it was going to go was how good Kansas was then. That was 2007. Kansas was really good.
Yeah. And they lost to Missouri. If I remember.
Yeah. They were number 2 in the country, and Missouri beat them.
Yeah.
I was saying it all year last year, and especially this year, that Kansas was going to be better. after they went toe to toe and almost beat Oklahoma. They were, and they played Baylor tough last year. And Leopold's doing something over there. And I kept telling people, I was like, you cannot expect Kansas to be a 1-win or 2-win team. They are going to surprise people. And I'm sad for you guys that it was West Virginia. I'm glad it was West Virginia, not Baylor. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be the first one. But I guarantee you that West Virginia will not be the last one. Kansas will win at
No, they won't.
They're going to lose. They're going to win 2 more games in conference. You just watch it.
Yeah.
It's they've got something going.
And plus,
I
that's a
could see
big.
him beating Iowa State. I could see him beating TCU. I don't see him beating Kansas State, Oklahoma, or Texas. They could probably have a possibility of beating Oklahoma State as well. So
I got to disagree because UT looked way better. I'll give them that. But both of their quarterbacks went down with injury. I mean, not down, but they were both banged up. That offensive line is butter soft. And I think, by the time they get Kansas on the field, who knows what personnel is going to be on the field for the Longhorns. So,
guys, think about this. I just looked at the schedule. If they go on the road and beat Houston, they get Duke, Iowa State, and TCU at home. Are we talking about a 5-0? Hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are we talking about a 6-0 Kansas?
Yeah,
I think it's possible.
They could go to a bowl.
If they can get by Houston.
If they beat
They
Houston, yeah. If they go on the road and beat Houston, right? I mean, that's I'm assuming here. That's the big trip up. If that doesn't happen, then none of this happens, okay? But if they go on the road and beat Houston, is Duke going to beat them at Kansas? Is Iowa State going to beat them at Kansas?
Maybe.
Is TCU going to beat them at Kansas?
No.
I don't think so.
This game's going to tell us a lot about Kansas.
Yeah.
It is. And the thing about it is I think Dana Holgorsen knows it's a big game too, because he was in his press conference today and he was talking up, trying to get people to come out and support the team. He said this was a big game. He said this was a huge game. He said this isn't the same Kansas of old. And this is a big game. We need all the fan support here.
Well, he just lost to Texas Tech. He's going to lose to another Big 12 team back-to-back because he was a bad coach in the Big 12. I don't know why people are still defending him. He lost to Kansas in year 3 and went 4-8. And road games were just almost unwinnable under Dana Holgorsen. We were 2 completely different teams, from the home team to the road team. Inconsistent, of course, no defense. And a lot of people take what I say out of context whenever I say Neil Brown is a better head coach. Oh, you think he's a good coach? No, I don't think Neil Brown's a good coach. But that's how bad I think Dana Holgorsen is. We kept him way too long. And I'm just hoping we don't make the same mistake with Brown. I mean, the defense, the biggest problem with West Virginia over the past 3 years was the offense. That finally gets fixed, and what happens? The defense takes a step back. You can't do that.
Yeah. I think defense did not look ready for that game. And by the way, so I've been saying that about Kansas, but I got to give props to Tim. He was absolutely spot on with Oregon State. I mean, I didn't see that before this season. I thought they were going to get, railroaded like always, but dang, man.
Were you not watching Gold and Blue, dude, man?
I'm watching, but I don't believe everything you say, brother.
Oregon State. Well, whenever it comes to conference realignment, that's just, I explore every avenue possible. But whenever it comes to like season predictions and game predictions and stuff like that, I look at everything in front of me, what they did in the past, what they lost, what they gained, what the other teams lose, what the other team gained, where the game falls on the schedule. All that comes together, and it can give you a snapshot of who might win the game, because there's more variables involved than just, I think they're going to be good and I think they're going to be bad. So I think the good team wins. It's way bigger than that.
Yeah, what Jonathan Smith's building is no joke. That guy's legit. I was really shocked to hear he was there 5 years. And I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm really worried about Haener and the Fresno State Bulldogs coming into the Coliseum on Saturday. Man, they look tough. I knew Haener was tough, but their defense looks pretty good too. But man, I mean, Jonathan Smith, talking about a good fit. Maybe I would love to see him. The problem is in Nebraska, you need to get a guy that can recruit. You know, because they don't have a really good recruiting base. You got to get a guy in there that can nationally recruit.
All right, let me do a reset real quick, guys, because I was starting or I was eating when I started the show, so I'm going to do a quick introduction for those of the people in the chat that doesn't know what's going on here. This is Going in Blue, dude. We do college football videos every single day, and here's a little secret that not a lot of YouTubers express enough. Hitting the like button helps the video tremendously. It doesn't matter whether you like me. It doesn't matter whether you like this video. It actually helps you, the viewer, because it grows the audience with the video hitting the algorithm and it getting suggested more. You get a bigger audience to trash talk in the comments section. So help yourself. Hit the like button. That way you can talk trash to more people. It's simple. It's as simple, easy, fast, and free like that. But if you want to take it a step further and you got a question for me or any of my guests, or you got a comment, or you want to make fun of me, troll me, whatever, keep moms out of it. That is an established rule now. Keep moms out of it. But the best way to get our attention is the super chat, like you see on the screen. It is that little $sign that you see on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, right underneath the comments section. Anything you put in that super chat, we will throw it on the screen, just like with Will Klein. Speaking of which, let's get to it. Will Klein, thank you for the $5 donation, says, after what I saw in that Bama game, I think Arkansas can take them. Where's that game going to be played at? If it's in Tuscaloosa, then
I think it's Arkansas.
All right, so if it's at Arkansas, the only thing is I wasn't able to watch the game between Arkansas and South Carolina, but I did watch the game between Arkansas and Cincinnati, and KJ Jefferson was just not on target in that game. I don't know if it was the Cincinnati scheme or whatever. Was any of you guys, were y'all able to watch the Arkansas-South Carolina game?
Yeah, I watched some of it, yeah.
How did KJ Jefferson look?
Yeah, I agree with you, GBD. He did not look good. I mean, I think it's because the scheme of defense that Cincinnati has, I think. But
yeah, and I know he was cramping up in the Cincinnati game, so maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know, but he was and it was more behind his receivers. He was late on his throws, so maybe they got the timing fixed. I don't know. As long as that's fixed, then they're going to be a pretty good team. I like their defense. Their defense has been pretty good. Their running game's pretty good. But KJ Jefferson has got to make sure he has the timing with his receivers down pat if they want to beat Alabama.
Wouldn't it be an interesting turn of events, though, if Arkansas could upset Alabama and then, say, Kentucky can upset Georgia? I mean, that would be, that would make for an interesting SEC this year. Which I've been saying all along. Kentucky's one upset away from playing for the SEC championship. They have to.
Well, my prediction of South Carolina upsetting Georgia, I know it seems even more far-fetched, but whenever I made that prediction, I also made sure that people understood that I was predicting Arkansas to beat South Carolina handily. So it wasn't based on the thought that I thought South Carolina was going to go into that game undefeated. I pretty much knew that South Carolina was going to lose to Arkansas because I think they're too young to win on the road, and maybe the chemistry, too early in the year to get all that worked out and be able to win on the road like that. And Arkansas is a good team. South Carolina, they had a few good plays on there, but just not consistent. I'm still sticking with that upset. I'm not very confident in it, but something that I'm telling you, this entire offseason, even after the season started and Georgia lamb-basted Oregon, and then this past week against Sanford, they actually didn't look as good. Something in my gut this entire season just kept telling me upset in Columbia. So I'm sticking with it. As unlikely as it seems, as stupid of a prediction as it looks like, I got to stick with it.
Yeah, hold your guns. I got a question for Tim. So, Tim, I was thinking about you the other day when I watched USC. And I was thinking, I had mentioned to Tim, I had told Tim that Lincoln Riley is a great offensive coach, great head coach. but your defense was always slacking. And you told me, you said, well, we don't need a lot of help on defense. We've got a pretty good defense, but we don't have a good offense. But watching USC, it looks like that you need some help on defense.
Oh, we must have crossed our wires because we are all offense. It reminds me a lot of the 2005 Trojans. I mean, the amount of talent is disgusting we have on offense, including our offensive line. Again, I think I told all you guys here, but I've been telling Mark Rogers, you know, the national media is saying how bad, the USC's offensive line is bad. Well, they're showing they're not. I mean, I saw some of those guards 10 yards downfield just throwing guys like rag dolls. I mean, it was great to see. It's been a long time since I've seen athletic, big offensive linemen at USC, and they were getting downfield, causing havoc. And then we're running the ball well.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Stanford recruits well at is the in the trenches. So I was impressed with that. That was the one matchup that I was a little worried for USC because I knew, you know, especially under Lincoln Riley, they have this finesse label over top of them, and Stanford is definitely not a finesse team. So I was, you know, a little worried about USC, you know, outpowering them. But man, they definitely outpowered them.
Yeah, no, our left guard, Voorhees, he's a preseason All-American candidate. He's a beast. He'll be our third 3 out of 4 years. We're gonna put an offensive lineman in the first round in the NFL, and he's that candidate right there. He's a big athletic dude, and he grades out very well on PFF. Like I think he was like the highest rated interior lineman by PFF last year. So they were knocking guys around. But I was just saying in the chat, you know, there was a play to Emmitt Smith's son, EJ Smith, in the flat, where he just walked right into the end zone. No, the line had to be the linebackers. No one picked them up, and he just walked right in. So it looks like they haven't really grasped the scheme yet. It looks very shaky. They came out this weird mesh where the quarterback was holding on to. Did you notice that the quarterback holds the ball for a long time, like, and then pulls it almost like an RPO, but and pulls it depending on the safeties and the linebacker. And that gave USC some fits early on in the first half. But again, as I said on our post-game show, there's this little thing that's been kind of lost in the USC lexicon, this word lost in the USC lexicon for the past, I don't know, the last regime, if not even longer. It's called halftime adjustments. And they were made. Matter of fact, they were made on the fly in the first half. So I was quite happy. They ended up getting 400 yards on us. And this is not a very good Stanford team. And we gave it 400 yards, but 300 of it or so was in the first half. Once they figured out, so Shaw came out with this scheme from Wake Forest where they run this mesh, and then the quarterback holds the ball right with the running back, and then depending on the read is, I believe, is the linebackers or the safety. And if he gets the look he wants, he pulls it and throws. If not, he hands it off to the running back. And it was giving USC fits in the first half, but you know, kudos to them. They figured it out and shut it down.
Yeah. Jeff, just show your face real quick. Make sure nobody's posing as you.
I think that
I would agree with that. I think USC's defense is going to be better than what a lot of people think as well.
Yeah, Rack Dog. Listen, I'll tell you what. I heard USC's weak, West Coast is weak for years and years and years, and I'm not going to name the team. That's we went into Arkansas. We went into we played some good teams from the Big Ten or the Big 12 from the SEC, and we kicked the crap out of you guys. So all this talk about, you know, that USC soft, USC is this. You're right. USC was soft as, you know, baby shit last year. But I'll tell you what, this year they're still rebuilding, so they're not going to be world beaters. But I'll tell you what, call us soft in a year or two, and I think you might regret it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to call USC soft last year, that's fine. But this year, so far, that's an incorrect statement.
Well, I would say they are pretty soft on the interior. I mean, we do need to pick up some dudes inside. That's no joke. But they call the entire West Coast soft. That's a bit antiquated and silly.
Well, one thing I can say about Lincoln Riley, after playing against him so many years, he is very good at halftime adjustments. He has done that his whole career and done it well. And you can ask the Longhorns about that at the Red River Shootout. He had quite a few of those. But yeah, he's a good coach on that front, I got to say.
Well,
thank you.
people
Hold
say
on.
that-
Let me get this super chat real quick. Thank you, Mike Stan Shield Porter. Is the Sun Belt the best Group of 5 conference? It's early in the season to say which one is, but this past Saturday, yes, they were the best Group of 5 conference this past Saturday for sure.
Absolutely.
100%.
Well, in Rack
I would
Dog,
like to
I
talk
don't,
on
we won't
USC.
see the CFP this year, so that's probably not going to happen. But I'm saying hold those thoughts until you see us in about, again, probably maybe in a couple of years. It's going to take a couple of years for USC to get a defense that can play with an Alabama, with a Georgia. So
I think
just
going
hold
to the
that
Big
thought.
Ten is going to actually help with that too.
Well,
Really
and
do.
with USC's defense right now, I know it's only 2 games. They've missed 10 tackles on 149 plays. So they're missing 1 tackle per 14.9 plays. Last year, they missed a tackle every 5.6 plays. So you can't say Riley does not, coach defense, or that defense, is terrible. It's, vastly improved from last year.
Right.
I appreciate that, Jeff. But you know what? The local middle school probably vastly improved defense from what we had last year.
Yeah,
Might be right. I got a question for y'all. I got a question for y'all about Texas. So, they played Alabama good. Offense had some issues, but they had some injuries. I thought it was a bit of a cheap shot on Ewers, but part of the game. But my question about Texas is, okay, so last year they played a decent Oklahoma really good. Should have won that game and gave it away, and it kind of messed with them mentally. They went on to lose 5 straight. Does this happen again against Texas? Very close to beating the number 1 team in the nation. Does it beat Texas more than once?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't think losing to Oklahoma is what made UT lose that many in a row last year. I think they just have a mental problem, a cultural problem in general, just a mental toughness issue. So, but I will say, I think Sark is improving that. I think they would not have played as well against Alabama if they were still as mentally weak as they were last year.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think they're going to go on a 5-game losing streak. Not at all. I don't think they're going to lose because of the lost Alabama. If anything, that's energized these guys. I mean, they went toe-to-toe and down to the wire with the number 1 Alabama team. That isn't going to deflate anything. That's going to boost them. So, yeah,
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Think
I
about
don't know, man. I don't know. I would have said the same thing about last year. They had the game won, blew a decent lead, lost to Oklahoma. Fast forward to this year, they didn't have a massive lead, but they had a real shot to win that game. And the Alabama drives for the winning field goal. That's demoralizing, and I don't know, man. I got to disagree with you. I'm not saying that Texas is going to go on a 5-game losing streak like they did last year, but I do think that this loss to Alabama will beat them again.
Well, if Texas loses, it's not because they lost to Alabama. It's because Ewers is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, that's where your losses are going to come from. And I would like to address the one guy who said Arkansas is going to beat Alabama. Well, I got bad news for Arkansas. Texas exposed us yesterday. They exposed that we don't have any speed at wide receiver. But unfortunately for Arkansas, that's not going to be true. JoJo Earl, our fastest wide receiver, comes back after next week. He had a foot injury. He is healthy again. Our other wide receiver who was healthy, Terrell, he will also be back for the October 1st game. So we're going to have 2 receivers, and I'm not making an excuse. Texas played a hell of a game, and they coulda, shoulda beat us. But when we play Arkansas, we will be 100% healthy, and even Latu will be healthy, our tight end. So we will have more speed at wide receiver, and that was probably the biggest problem, Alabama playing Texas. Texas didn't have to defend the deep ball. We had nobody who could run down there. All they had to worry about was 5 to 15-yard passes, and they stopped it. And, I give them all the credit. They were prepared.
And penalties.
Yeah, I think you guys were well scouted by Texas. I will say that. David Cummings, thank you for the $5 donation, says, I saw USC beat Auburn at Auburn in 2003. SC is a powerhouse and always will be. They have the money and the supporters. They are a blue blood, but last year they were definitely not a powerhouse. They're one of those sleeping giants. It's like whenever Alabama went through that 1992 to whenever Saban won his first championship at Alabama. Alabama was a sleeping giant basically. That's kind of where USC is. And if you look at the timeline, they're kind of in that same stretch, and they're due to be woken up, this year, next year, sometime real soon. It's almost eerily similar as far as years between national championships when Alabama went through their drought and the current drought of USC. It's almost like a prophecy that's about to be fulfilled.
Yeah, I mean that again, talking about your soft USC defenses, they went in there, and that wasn't just any Auburn team, and that's the one with Jason Campbell and had Ronnie Brown and Carnell Williams. I mean, you guys remember those backs? Those guys were studs, and USC really shut them down, like 43 yards on 36 carries. Those dudes were like dudes in the SEC, and that USC defense just, again, a lot of people don't realize it is like USC's worst defense was that 2005 team. Everyone hyped up. That was by far the worst defense Pete Carroll had. The other defenses before and after were much better.
Well, we're not gassing out USC, but they did pass their first test at Stanford. That was that was a bigger win than people realize. Not just revenge wise, but if USC loses that, the chirpers would have came out. USC don't win USC. They'll be lucky to get to a bowl. It was a bigger win than what. I mean, they needed to win that. They were supposed to win that, but there's always that chance that those games. They're definitely not gimme games. They are losable. I like the fashion that USC won the game. They didn't just win the game. They basically dominated Stanford.
I mean, the biggest obstacle on USC's schedule is their road games to Oregon State and to Utah. Yeah, that's the biggest obstacle in USC's schedule right now, I believe.
And I'd probably say UCLA. We have it at home. Oh, sorry, no, it's on the road. It's at the Rose Bowl. UCLA might be tough. Again, their strength is our weakness. So it's just like anything in sports.
What about Arizona? Oh, man.
Arizona, I don't know. I was hyped on Arizona after week 1, but not so much after week 2, to be honest with you. If they didn't.
I don't know. Mississippi State is good. I don't think a lot of people realize that, but Mississippi State is pretty good. And they just weren't going to – that was not a game that Arizona matched up well. And so,
Well, Delora did not look sharp in that game, and I'm really banking on him.
How bad do we think Notre Dame is?
I was going to say, you don't have to worry about that at the end of the year. Oh, man.
They're going to have to dig deep to salvage this season. Like they've got issues at wide receiver. They don't really have any playmakers right now. They're not very deep there either. Drew Pine is like 5'10" in high heels. So like he didn't play good when he came in, and he didn't look good when he played last year. The offensive line's underperformed. I think the defense is going to have to carry the load. I mean, and even they had some issues to iron out. So it's not looking good right now.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame will be lucky to get 8-4. I still think they're a bowl team because of their schedule, but they would definitely be lucky to get to 8-4. I'm looking at a 6-6 or 7-5 type of season, and I predicted this significant. I would call it significant step back. A lot of adjustment. Marcus Freeman, more of a defensive mind, and I know Brian Kelly, didn't light the world on fire with his offense, but Notre Dame needed offense when Brian Kelly left, and they replaced him with a defensive-minded coach. And I'm thinking, you're not addressing what needs to be addressed, But if you're going to do that, get you a hot shot, offensive coordinator. I would say that's one good decision that West Virginia made in the offseason. We got Graham Harrell, and our offense is actually fixed, and then our defense is now MIA. But that's what Notre Dame needs right now. They need an offensive coordinator or a coach that's going to just know how to take chances, when to take chances, and not make stupid decisions. If you watch the Notre Dame game, and I rarely watch Notre Dame games because NBC is almost unwatchable whenever they broadcast Notre Dame games. I mean, it's a snooze fest. But I watched the end of that Notre Dame game, and Marcus Freeman, whenever Notre Dame was in trouble, looked like he didn't even want to be there. He was letting all the other coaches talk to the players. I'm stressed out, guys. I don't want to talk to anybody. Just y'all go take. Like he looked like he was absolutely lost. He looked uncomfortable. He looked like he had no idea what to do. Straight up lost. Did anybody else see that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he was lost. I think he.
No, I'm
he
saying
had,
the look in his face. The look in his face.
He wasn't like talking. He wasn't yelling at anybody. You could tell like he wasn't really engaged with the players. And I think part of it is that I think he trusts his own staff too much, and they haven't earned that trust. A lot of these guys are new. Some of the holdovers. He has a few holdovers from the Brian Kelly era. But a lot of those guys underperformed under Brian Kelly, most notably Tommy Rees, their offensive coordinator. And, I think he needs to, have a heart-to-heart with his staff, and because they're not getting the production they should be out of some of those position groups. Their offensive line it should be one of the best in the country, and they've looked absolutely terrible through 2 weeks.
The problem with that, though, is that Freeman has been very vocal and very connected with his players. I mean, you go back and watch the celebrations when he was announced as the head coach. And so to see him stoic and quiet and almost lost in like a deer in headlights kind of, to me, I did look at that. I did notice that, and I saw something wasn't right. I mean, our coach, Dave Aranda, is not a talker. So, yeah, Grimes is going to be out there, the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, all the position coaches, they're going to be talking it up. But when you have a coach that's expressive, that's charismatic, that's connected with the players, and he's just stoic and quiet and on his own on the sidelines, that's a bad look. I got to agree with that. That's not he should be over there rallying the troops, trying to get a comeback. But he looked like –
and on top of that, he's got to know that it's being televised. So it's almost like – he forgot that cameras were there as well. He forgot about everything. And I was going to ask Jordan about this. So does this make you feel a little bit better about the road trip to Notre Dame? Because here's the thing about Clemson. What's going on with your offense, guys? What is going on with even against Furman, it didn't look good.
Well, it looked good in the first half, and then some stuff happened. What
about Georgia Tech? First 3 quarters, MIA. I mean, blew up in the fourth quarter. Congratulations, covered the spread, but got to be more consistent than that. What's it the offensive line? Is it DJ? Is it receivers? What is it?
Well, I honestly don't think it's DJ. I know he's gotten a lot of heat, and obviously he's the quarterback, but I think a lot of it has been the offensive line hasn't played up to snuff. They pass protected a lot better on Saturday, but in that Georgia Tech game, they were allowing a lot of pressure. They still haven't run blocked very well in either game. The receivers have been probably the most disappointing part. Just a lot of drops from veteran guys like EJ Williams is in his third season, can't consistently catch the ball. Joe Ngata can't stay healthy. He was supposed to be the number one guy. He's not. He's MIA half the time because he pulls a hamstring or something. Bo Collins, he didn't have a good game against Georgia Tech, but he played a lot better. He played a lot better on Saturday, and so I expect him to have a bigger role. But really, our best receivers have been Bo Collins, and then and Antonio Williams, the true freshman. So just getting more out of the wide receiver room, I think, is going to be key. On Saturday, DJ posted his best QBR since his freshman year. He was poised. He made really smart decisions in the pocket, and he scrambled when he needed to. So I really think it's just this offense is a work in progress, but I really don't think it's DJ. That's the issue. He hasn't been perfect, but I'd say he's been a bright spot, all things considered.
I would agree with that. He's making much better decisions this year. and he doesn't look like he's scared to get hit like he was last year. I think that was his biggest thing. He got that one big hit early in the season, and
the Georgia game really,
that messed with his head a lot. What about David Cummings? He says Tom Herman to West Virginia. Let's go. I'd be fine with that. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I have no idea why Texas fired Tom Herman. The biggest thing that I hear from Texas fans is the boosters didn't like him. They didn't get along with him, stuff like that. But, he had that 110-win season, and yes, they took a step back and went 8-5, but went 7-3 in the COVID year. I think Tom Herman was onto something at Texas, and they were very, very close to getting to the Big 12 championship in that COVID year whenever they played Iowa State. So as far as Tom Herman and West Virginia, I mean, if we fire Neil Brown and Tom Herman is willing to come to West Virginia, I'm okay with that. He can recruit, and that's what West Virginia needs right now. We need some good recruiting. It has fallen off. People forget, oh, well, you've recruited in the top 40s, lower 30s. You should be thankful. Rewind the tape and look how West Virginia was recruiting in the mid to early 2000s, like consistent top 25 recruiting classes. So we are capable of doing that. Now with the NIL, that's a new wrinkle, and hopefully West Virginia is figuring that out. But I think Tom Herman would be the type of coach that would know how to maximize on that as well.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. And I would be fine with Hugh Freeze as well. And I know he has some baggage from Ole Miss, but he's taken a Liberty school that most people didn't even realize existed as far as a football team, and they've actually been pretty stinking good. And the quarterbacks he's had there have they've gotten the spotlight, maybe piqued the interest of the NFL, which otherwise Hugh Freeze doesn't go there. They're probably not getting the interest of the NFL. So I'd be okay with Hugh Freeze as well. Now, could West Virginia get either of those two? I don't know. I don't know if they'd be interested in coming to Morgantown, especially after seeing fan reactions of whenever things don't go well. I mean, that I've tried to tell West Virginia fans, they will not listen. Whenever things don't go our way, you can't throw trash towards the stadium or pile it up or throw shoes onto the field and stuff like that and threaten people, because you're just going to make possibly a good name who possibly could be interested, not want to go there because he's like, I don't want to go there because, they're crazy over there. But they don't listen. So we end up shooting ourselves in the foot as fans as well. So I don't know what to do anymore. I really don't.
I think West Virginia should just calm down a little bit. Let Jimbo Fisher keep coaching the way he's coaching, and
I don't want
that
Jimbo.
Houston money will buy him out eventually if he keeps losing games like he did this week.
I don't want Jimbo. Jimbo left Florida State in shambles. He's going to leave Texas A&M in shambles as well. I don't want him. No, thank you.
Whoever takes over down there, if he leaves, is going to have a mess to clean up.
They're going to have the Florida State mess to clean up. That's the type of mess they're going to have.
Exactly my point.
I mean, he can recruit. He gets a lot of talent, but for whatever reason, it does not translate onto the field. I can't figure it out.
That's called development and bad coaching. That's what that's called.
Jimbo Fisher has never developed a quarterback. Look at who he won the national championship with, was Winston.
Yep.
He didn't develop Winston.
No. Winston was ready to go out of high school.
That's what I was going to say. He doesn't develop the talent that he gets. He'll recruit the talent, but he does nothing with it.
Now that I agree with that, but that would be my strike against Tom Herman too, because he got incredible talent, and those guys spent 4 years in Austin and pretty much they were the same people. So yeah, I agree with you, and I think Fisher does that. Yeah, Jimbo.
Oh yeah, Jimbo's the king of that.
I was going to say, before Sark took over at Texas, that was a Texas problem also. They would get all this talent, but they wouldn't develop it, which is why you see these good recruiting classes at Texas, but then you see crap results on the field, and it's like you got to develop them, or you're not going to get anything out of it.
Yep.
And I'm seeing the chat talk about JT a lot, and after watching West Virginia start to 0-2 and watching Oregon State's really hot start, you think he's regretting his decision to come to Morgantown?
I just typed that in the chat just now. I just said, to Ferris, I'm really glad he chose West Virginia over Oregon State.
I didn't see that. Cool.
I literally was typing it as you said it, like literally at the same time, because I don't want to see. Can you imagine that Johnson Smith offense with Coletto, the battering ram, and then JT's arm? And for some reason they always have these quick little slot guys, like they're small little receivers at Oregon State. I mean, the Ocho Cinco days, the Chad Johnson days, those are over. They had some great guys back with Mike Riley, but they just seem to have quick little dudes all the time. And JT, he can make all the damn throws. And also, remember I told you, I don't ever wish anybody be hurt, but look at Slovis. I mean, I told you that guy, he just can't stay on the field. And everyone's talking about JT, and I told you watch. I think that Slovis is a little more tender than JT, but I mean,
no, I still think JT outplayed him. It's our receivers dropped the ball way too much, and then the backbreaker was. And bless his heart, Winston Wright was having a great, fantastic game. But the one time he messes up, it's a pick six. And then you double down against Kansas in overtime. The one bad throw from JT to Bryce Ford Wheaton. Did I say Winston Wright? I meant Bryce Ford
I was
Wheaton.
like, Winston Wright's at Florida State.
Bryce Ford Wheaton, that's what I meant. Bryce Ford Wheaton, both in the Pitt game and the Kansas game, was the benefactor of a pick six. I feel bad both for JT and Bryce Ford Wheaton on that one.
Yeah, two killers. I mean, two pick six.
I think what you were trying to say, Tim, was Oregon State has a bunch of Hunter Renfrows over there.
It's not a bad thing to have. Trust me.
Not a bad thing at all to have. I mean, maybe not as good as Hunter, right? But that style, that just a small, scrappy, great hands, gonna find and settle down in the zone, pick up that nasty 3rd and 8 all the time. It's like those kind of little dudes that they always
You're
have.
just naming every white receiver stereotype. I love it.
Hey, man. Show your face real quick. People have been posing as people all over the place, so just show your face real quick and we'll put you on.
Well, Jordan, the guys I'm talking about, they're not all white, but they're all in that same
I
mode.
know. I'm just kidding. He's a student of the game. He's real scrappy. He's a gym rat. He's a gym rat.
Yeah. Hey, can I address one of the comments in the chat room? Blake Raider Steel Canes. Nick Saban is just a recruiter. His NFL resume says so. Yeah, I guess the 7 national championships he has and all the players he has in the NFL. Yeah, I guess he really can't coach or develop.
I still
don't. That's comical.
I guess
trolls like to troll.
Saban has nothing to do with the fact that 5 of the first 12 touchdowns scored in the NFL this year were scored by Alabama players.
Well, I have this question. If Nick Saban is not a good head coach, who is?
Right.
There's no such thing as a good coach, I guess.
Clay Helton.
I mean,
and I'm not saying that Nick Saban
Husker killer.
Everybody. He has some great, coordinators. Don't get me wrong, but Saban is a great coach. And
I mean, the fact that he still has great coordinators after losing coordinators year after year after year, that right there is incredible talent. Just being able to get good coaches.
I will say this. I think I know where he's coming from with the NFL talent. So I know this is a big what if because it'll never happen because things are the way they are, right? So
talk about Rich Rod.
No.
Okay.
Nick Saban.
I know, but Rich Rod would have. Okay, but never mind.
We'll go back to Rich Rod here in a second. But Nick Saban, I think what he was trying to say is if the talent was spread out even like it is in the NFL, would he still be considered, a great coach? Would he have all the national championships? Now, that's a conversation right there. Now, I will say that recruiting is a part of coaching, so I throw that in there. And I think that was his point when he went to the NFL and everything is spread out more and the talent is more evened out across the board. I mean, there are some teams that have more talent, but he failed.
Okay, but
And
here's
in
the
college
question
football,
for
it's
you.
not like that. So I think
that
that's
would
what
hold
I don't
water.
agree with it. I don't agree with it because recruiting is a part of it, but that's the only thing that I can kind of pick out of that as far as what he was trying to say.
But how many Super Bowls could he have won if the Miami
But the
Dolphins
thing about
would
it
have
is, he's
listened to him
proven everywhere.
and let him take
been-
Drew Brees?
That's
He
a good
wanted
point. He
Drew
wanted
Brees.
Drew Brees, and they wouldn't let him get him.
If
Right.
he would have got Drew Brees, where would
Yeah.
the Dolphins be? You know, I mean,
Right.
I'm not saying, you know, he wins a lot, but if they would have listened to him and got him his players, he might have done better.
I think that's why he's
You want to,
college.
if you want a true stat that separates him, here's a true stat that separates Saban from the entire rest of the crowd, and the source is Joel Klatt. Joel Klatt with this source. Of the 5 stars that have been recruited since 2015, 20% have gone on to be drafted in the NFL. 20%. If you're a 5-star and you played at Alabama, 61%. 61% of Alabama 5 stars end up being drafted. If you go anywhere else in the country, your chances are 20%.
Yeah.
Well,
So
hold
don't tell
on.
me-
Hold on.
I think that
Let's think
actually
about that
feeds into the argument
logically.
that he was
If you
making.
have offense, let me just jump in on that. If you got 5-star offensive lineman blocking for your 5-star quarterback and you're a 5-star receiver, you're going to show out a hell of a lot more statistically than a 5-star receiver who has 3-star offensive lineman and maybe a 4-star quarterback. I think that stuff
Correct.
rolls together. I mean, it does help. You know, when USC was on top, we were rolling first rounders left, right, and center as well. Some of those guys didn't pan out, but they were playing behind these incredible lines with incredible quarterbacks, etc. And it just makes everyone shine a little bit greater. I think the question might be is 5 years into their careers, where are all those guys? And I'm not saying that the Alabama guys washed out because a lot of them didn't. I think the better look is being drafted is great, but what were they, 5th round draft picks, 4th round draft picks? And, you know what I mean? It just the number. You got to be careful when you do things like that because you're statistically going to get drafted on those teams that are rolling because you're surrounded by stars and you're putting up big numbers.
And I think the bigger thing is that Saban is not in the NFL because of the fact that in college you get to pick your players, and you don't in the NFL. I mean, some guy gets a contract negotiation squabble with the GM and he's gone, or somebody else shows up. You got no control. I think that's why Saban likes college.
That's basically what Pete Carroll said. That's what Pete Carroll basically said. He said he was going to go into a program that was going to allow him to have full control because he was flirting with the NFL starting in 2008. There were a couple of meetings with I forget the owner of the Dolphins. I can't remember. He flew down to Mexico on his yacht and they were talking about, but he wouldn't give him full control. And finally, he got in a situation up in Seattle where they said, all right, you could have full control, front office, everything. You got the keys to the Ferrari, go for it. And he said, I'll take it. And that's something they have to do.
Was that Huizinga, Jim?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. And so for 3 years in a row, he was talking about going to the NFL. Yeah. And he eventually went. Because they got exactly what he wanted.
That's it doesn't always work because that's what Matt Rule thought he had in Carolina, and that is not working out for Matt Rule.
No,
he's going to be a hot net. What I will say about that, I still think it's smart because what's going to happen now is he's going to come back to college football and he'll go to the highest bidder. So it wasn't necessarily a bad decision to do that.
And with Matt Rule, the thing is you could have that kind of autonomy, but if you don't make the right moves. That's what happens. I think one thing people didn't realize about Pete Carroll is that he was an amazing evaluator of talent. I mean, everyone thinks about those teams. There were a lot of 3-star dudes that started on those Pete Carroll teams. 3 stars.
Honestly.
For Pete Carroll, it actually did translate into the NFL.
Well, Matt Rule, I will say the one thing I think he did almost better than anything was recruit because he only had about 25, 28 days when he arrived on campus to throw together a team. And because he had one kid committed to Baylor, and he literally within less than 30 days filled out a roster of recruits. And not all, but a lot of those guys are in the NFL. I mean, that's your Blake Lynch, your James Lynch, Treston Ebner, Tyquan Thornton. He recruited all these guys that just got drafted last year and the year before. And a lot of those were those guys that he got in like 1 month and threw them all together. And then his next year, he goes 1-11, and he gets Tyquan Thornton to decommit from, I think, Florida State or Florida, one of those two, and come to Baylor after going 1-11. And that kid's an NFL quality guy coming out of high school. So I will say Matt Rule, great evaluator of talent, actually. But for some reason, I think the problem is the NFL culture where you've got guys who are literally millionaires, and you're trying to tell them to do, give me 10 push-ups for missing that catch. And they're like
exactly.
No.
To people in the chat, I'm seeing a lot of comments about the clown video, and I had a lot of fun. I got to give my brother a lot of credit. I mean, he didn't mean to come up with the idea, but we were talking about it, and he was just like, clown show. I was like, clown show? That's a great idea. So
Right.
that's what sparked that. And me and Joey were having a conversation after I made the video. I was like, sucks whenever West Virginia loses like this, but man, this was good for the channel. We've gotten over 10,000 views on that video, so sometimes there's always a silver lining. I'm glad that people took it for what it was and enjoyed it for the fun that I put into it. They didn't take it too serious, because that's what I was trying to do. So a lot of these videos are me trying to portray what most people are scared to portray. Like, whenever your team loses like that and you feel like it's a clown show, you feel like going around dancing like a clown and talking stupid about your team. And I actually do it in front of a camera. So I'm glad I'm able to entertain people like that. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun
That's
with that.
the point, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, if you're not having fun on YouTube anymore, then you need to go back to the basics.
Right. Hey, Golden Blue
I love
Dude,
the fact
just
that the
wanted
video
to-
took off, but I would happily. I'd love to have the Kansas win over top of that video.
Well, yeah,
Right.
definitely. Go ahead,
I
Russell.
was going to say, I
Sorry,
just
John.
wanted to
Go ahead.
touch on something. No, you're good. I just wanted to touch on something where you said that KJ didn't do too great against Cincinnati. And I know he had some wide open throws that he missed, but overall, I mean, he went 18 of 26 for 223 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interception. He did have that one messed up snap down there on the 3 that was a fumble that they recovered, but that was the only mistake he was part of. And then against South Carolina, he went 18 of 21 for 170 some odd yards and 1 touchdown with no interceptions. So, I mean, he showed improvement from game 1 to game 2 in that regard.
Absolutely.
I mean, he completed.
I do think South Carolina's
game
defense was a
1.
little, a little less talented than Cincinnati's. Cincinnati's defense actually surprised me. So,
Yeah.
Straight from an Arkansas fan, how do you think your offense matches up against Alabama's defense?
I'm not going to lie. It's going to be a tough matchup. I know the first half of the Cincinnati game, we kept their offense off the board completely. And then we had our 2 big starters that got injured. And the second half, they kind of run us over.
Right.
And then South Carolina gave us problems for that same reason. But getting one of those guys back this coming week, Miles Slusher, he'll be back. Catalon's out for the season. So they're making adjustments to move guys around to put them where they're going to help us the most. And then on offense, our number 2 running back has been out since the Penn State game last year. He will be back this next week, and he's a hoss. 6'2", 247 pounds, and he knows how to move the pile really well.
Yeah, I agree. I think Arkansas is one of the better running teams in the SEC. Before we get out of here, a team that I've been talking about in the offseason finally got ranked, and I'm talking about Penn State. And I thought from the very beginning that they have a chance to have a 10-win season, but that definitely hinged on that road game to Purdue. And Sean Clifford came through game-winning drive and beat Purdue. Real quick before we get to our last word, what do y'all think that Penn State is the real deal? I'm not talking about getting to the playoffs or anything like that, but do you think they could perhaps challenge for the Big Ten, get to a 10-win season?
Yeah, like you, I've been saying that. I was saying that before the season started that Penn State was going to be a team to watch this year. So yeah, I think they're the real deal. They're not going to win the Big Ten like you say, but they're a good team.
No, I don't think they're going to win the Big Ten. I was asking if anybody thought they would.
Right. No, I don't think they can win the Big Ten either. I just meant I'm like you. I don't see them winning the Big Ten, but yeah, they are a good team. I can see 9 wins easy.
Yeah, me too. All right, so bedtime routine is about to commence. Before we get out of here, as usual, last word, everybody. I'll give the first last word to our resident truck driver, John Russell, our Arkansas guy.
All right. Well, man, we're playing Missouri State this week. They're actually the number 7 team in the FCS. They're actually pretty good considering the division they're in. So it may be a good game, but I'm still looking for us to win pretty big. Texas A&M, I don't think it's going to be a problem at this point. So I'm looking forward to facing Alabama in week 5. I hope that one will be a good game, and woo pig.
There you go, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
You bet, man.
See you
next time.
Have a good one, buddy. We will go to J-Dub, buddy. What's your last word?
Well, after the humiliating showing on Saturday, the Tide has about 25 problems to fix, and they better get them fixed in a damn hurry because their schedule includes road games at Arkansas, Ole Miss, and LSU, and at Tennessee. So there's no place to hide on this SEC West schedule, especially this year with them going on the road. Now, they've got a couple of cupcakes coming up the next 2 weeks before they have to go to Fayetteville. They better get their shit in gear if they think they're going to do something, because that was a humiliating effort against Texas to take nothing away from the Longhorns. This was Alabama playing about as poorly as they can play and still managing to win.
Yeah.
That said,
I think your defense did all right. I think it was your offense.
That said, and everybody's going to hate hearing this, so get ready to hate on me. Is there anybody harder to kill than Alabama? They show up with their C game. You're playing your game of the decade. They show up with their C game, and they walk out of your house with the win. Is there anybody harder to kill? Roll Tide.
I would agree with that. Jordan Bowman, what's your last word, buddy?
Well, since everybody's talking about their teams going forward, I guess I'll do the same. Clemson has Louisiana Tech on Saturday. It is actually a prime night game at 8 o'clock. I don't know why this game of all things is a night game and not or in the Wake Forest game the week after is at noon. So
nice.
Whatever.
Yeah.
The ACC network. All right. I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but I'm looking for the offense to continue to improve. DJ continuing to look sharp and build on his performance on Saturday. Defense needs to clean some stuff up. Secondary, honestly, Furman hit some big plays in that game a little bit. So they got some stuff to clean up. Just fundamentally, tackling needs to improve. But I still think this team is in a better spot now than it was this time a year ago. And as long as they continue to improve, the offensive line starts to gel, and we get more juice out of the receiver room, I think we'll be all right. Adam Randall, freshman receiver, is officially back after tearing his ACL in the spring. So
That's good.
He's been described as it's hard to explain. You'll know when you see it. He's the real deal. So I think he's going to add a lot of needed push to this wide receiver room, and I think you'll see some better offensive performances moving forward. But
I agree with that. And Will Shipley needs to find those creases and holes better.
Yeah,
I think his patience isn't quite there yet.
Yeah, he's got some stuff to work on, but yeah, the offensive line's got to block for him better. I mean, we have 3 really talented running backs. I mean, Shipley gets all the love, but Kobe Pace and Phil Maffa are phenomenal. Would start at a lot of places too. So it's just finding the offensive line gelling and staying on schedule and not putting everything on DJ. I think that's the biggest thing.
Right. Well said, buddy. Good job. We'll see what happens this coming week. We'll go to my guy, Jeff. What's your last word?
Well, I will talk about the Pac-12 because 3 things came out today. One of them was bad. One of them could be bad. And the other one is actually good for the Pac-12. It looks like the Pac-12 will stay together. Oregon and Washington got their notes from the Big Ten. They are not accepted. They will not be accepted. UCLA got a note today that September 22nd, they're being called to the principal's office. The regents are having another meeting to discuss them leaving. And the third one is, and this kind of affects Tim, why is USC playing Oregon State and it's on the Pac-12 network?
Is it really? Is that game on Pac-12?
It's on the Pac-12. They put Washington on ESPN, and they put another, and I can't remember the other game, on ESPN2, and they put you against Oregon State on the Pac-12 network. What is up with that?
Is that on a Friday night?
No.
No, it's Saturday.
Okay.
None of USC's games are. See, before when they were worried about USC leaving, right? Before they actually made the move. Our AD went in there and laid down the law like a real AD at USC should have done a long time ago. And there was no Larry Scott there this time. And Kliavkoff said, okay, yeah, no problem. Whereas USC said, don't you dare put us on any more Saturday night games. That's right. Friday night games. So we're done with that stuff. So
it didn't make sense.
Yeah, but that is shocking, Jeff. I mean, that very well, that game along with the SC Notre Dame game, SC Utah game, and the Utah Oregon games, those are the best games of the year in the Pac-12. What the hell is that doing on the Pac-12 network? That's a bit weird. That's
well,
really
and
weird.
I looked at that day. That was, to me, would be the best game for the Pac-12 that day. And you guys are playing at 6:30, and it's on the Pac-12 network. And I'm like, half the country don't even get the Pac-12 network. Why would you put that game there? But everybody
that shows you the downfall of the Pac-12 right there. Bad decisions.
Yep.
There you go. That's why the Pac-12 is the Pac-12.
There you go. Good job, Jeff. We'll see you tomorrow, buddy. And then, of course, our resident Pac-12 guy. I love the West Coast flavor you bring, man. Like, I love diversity in these shows. If it was all East Coast, it'd probably start getting boring. So we rely on you, man. We rely on you.
Well, you guys always have great guests. I enjoy being on here. I want to go back to the Texas situation. Something I was trying to jump in, but we switched up on it really quick. Is I haven't heard enough talk. I mean, Jeff, you got to sometimes give another team, Jeff Webster, not Jeff Grimm. You got to give another team credit. You came in with your C game. No, you did a true road game, something that Saban doesn't do. You went to a great hostile environment, and they brought it. And then there's this guy named Gary Patterson, who's an assistant to the head coach. He's not even a coach. So when people talk about, well, do you really need a lot of money in football? This is something that Alabama's been doing forever, pulling in coordinators and NFL coaches to be their analysts and things like that. Gary Patterson looked at that defense, at the Alabama offense, and came up with, as only Gary Patterson could do, a great defensive game plan. And they really pinned and took it to Alabama. I don't want to hear this. We came in with our C game stuff. You guys came up up against a great defensive game plan with some big dudes that smashed you guys in the mouth. And I'll tell you what, if Bijan Robinson doesn't go out of bounds on that last drive, and just like this guy, he's not a freshman. He should have gone down and let that clock run, or at least make them call a timeout, because they left. When I saw that much time left on the clock, for Young, I said, "That's it. That's game. That's
Same
game
thing
right there."
I thought they would drive for a touchdown, to be honest with you. So I was actually surprised that they had to settle for a field goal. But to your point, and I wish I would have thought of this whenever Jeff said that as well. Whenever he said, play your C game, Alabama plays their C game, and you play the game of the decade, and you can barely win. So does that mean that Alabama played their C game against Florida when they won by 2 last year? Did they play their C game against Texas A&M when they lost last year? Did they play their C game when they had to go to overtime at Auburn last year? Did they play their C game when they got beat by Alabama in the national championship? Did Alabama play their C game like 4 or 5 times last year?
Again, I mean, Jeff, I know you're a fan, and we're allowed to be fans and get our fan glasses on, but you went into Austin. They had a great game plan. They smashed you in the mouth. You didn't play your C game. You guys got out coached and pretty much outplayed, and you got out of there with a W. So you should be happy with that. You should be happy with the W. But let's put away the we brought our C game and they bought their game of the century crap. That's pretty weak, man, in my opinion. I think Gary Patterson is going to land somewhere. Clearly, we all Big 12, you guys know, he's a great defensive coach. Things didn't work out at TCU, but man, anybody's should be happy to have him.
Might not be a too bad of a name for West Virginia, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe with the Big 12.
You when you have that kind of money, and you could have an analyst, again, which to their credit, Alabama's been doing for a hell of a long time. When you get head coaches, wasn't Sark had started as an analyst? I thought Sark was an analyst the first year, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
If you could have a head coach and and have an analyst as an offensive analyst on your staff, I mean, things like that, it's what does all that extra money in the SEC and the Big Ten. That's what it does bring to teams. So, again, disappointed he's not giving a team who brought it and socked his team in the mouth a little more credit. But I think that all you Texas fans, that wasn't an aberration. You guys are going to have a great season this year, Texas. So enjoy it.
Unless they let it stick in their head like the Oklahoma loss last year. That's the only thing that would stand their way. But I don't know. This might be a different Texas team.
Well, I mean, it's a rough loss, but it's also that kind of loss you can walk away ashamed of. You know what I mean? You did play a great Alabama team, and you gave them everything they could handle. They came out the scrappy win at the end. But also, you guys at West Virginia, I mean, you guys, Leopold, this isn't the same Kansas team like you said that was last year. Losing last year, that would have been one thing, but he's making a lot of good moves. This is Kansas team's going to win some games this year. Maybe not bowl team, but they're going to win a lot of games.
No. I was hoping you'd say we lost to an 8-4 Kansas. Why did you have to say maybe not a bowl team?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe they are an 8-4 Kansas team. But I think they're maybe a year away. I do think a year or two from now, again, Lance Leopold's no joke. Kind of just really a lot like Jed Fish at Arizona. You know what I mean? These teams that were really a joke a year ago, I think they're coming up, and this might not be the year, but they're about a year away. So guys got to work. I don't know. It was a shame. The Pitt game was a shame. I think you guys kind of threw that one away. But this last one, man, I don't know. That one was rough. So
the only thing I'd say is our defense. Even the people up in the booth were saying that our defense was not hustling or playing with any type of energy. Honestly, at the end of the game, I sat back. I was like, deja vu. And what did I say after the Pitt game? As long as we don't let this beat us like last year's close loss to Oklahoma, I'll be fine. And that's exactly what happened, especially with our defense. Credit to Kansas. They came to play and they beat us fair and square. And we weren't heavy underdogs, and I was surprised about that, but our defense was playing uninspired for sure.
If you score 40 points, you should beat Kansas, and your defense let you down.
And we got beat by 2 scores in overtime.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow, buddy. Appreciate it. Joey, what's going on, buddy?
Well, I wanted to also mention about Kansas. If you watch any game this week, the game you have to catch is Kansas and Houston. Kansas is at Houston. Because if Kansas can get by that game, their next 3 games are home games against Duke, Iowa State, and TCU. And if they can get by Houston, they can win all 3 of them games and be 6-0.
Hold on.
Going to Norman.
Hold on. Jeff, sometimes we think of something post somebody getting out of the StreamYard. You can respond however you want in the chat, man, but we can't reset a show. I have some stuff I have to do after this. Write it down, write your thoughts down, and come back on tomorrow. Stop whining. Jeez. Sorry, go ahead, Joey.
And also, that I think a lot of people forget that Lance Leopold is a record-setting coach. All right, so he got 100 wins in 106 games. He was a coach that got 100 wins in 106 games. He has 6 national titles in Division III. And 3 consecutive bowl games and 2 MAC championships at Buffalo. So this is a good coach. This is not some coach that, they picked up off the street. Lance Leopold, for real. They've also got some great transfers, and Lorenzo McCaskill from Billy Napier's Louisiana team and Eric Gilbert. So they've got some great players on Kansas team this year. So watch out for Kansas. Don't sleep on Kansas. West Virginia step on Kansas. I don't see Houston sleep on Kansas after man. Well, that's all I've got. Let me say this. So Cowboy Country Oklahoma State fan is. That's the one that won the Super Chat contest and has the trail cam coming. So it's Cowboy Country Oklahoma State fan. I don't know who that is. So if anybody knows him and you see him in any chats, tell him to get a hold of us, one of us, so that we can get him his trail cam.
Or we'll if we can't get a hold of him or he doesn't get a hold of us, we'll have to redraw.
Yeah, we'll draw again. Yep, that's what we'll do.
Okay.
All right, man. Thanks a lot,
Joey. All right, glad you're feeling better, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, Joey feeling better. I'm glad about that. COVID's rough. It doesn't matter if it's your first time, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, sixth time. Doesn't matter. It's going to be rough, just like the flu. So I'm glad he's feeling better. Appreciate everybody that stopped by and supported the show, watching, commenting, got on StreamYard. Hey, all that helps. Even hitting the like button on the way out. Please hit the like button. Even though we won't be live anymore, it still helps the video hit the YouTube algorithm, and that's what it gets suggested more, and we get more views. And that's how you help the channel grow, by hitting the like button and helping us get more views and get reach potential subscribers. So I'm happy about that. Last 2 days have been pretty good for Golden Blued. A blessing in disguise whenever West Virginia lost. Not really a blessing, but it helped the channel. I would still take the win over a good video, to be honest with you. But you gotta make lemonade out of lemons sometimes, and that's definitely what Saturday was. Probably the worst lemons of all time. Well, worst lemons since 2013, when Dana Holgorsen went 4-8 and lost to Kansas. So yeah, I had to make lemonade out of that. People enjoyed it, so I'm glad I did my job, because my job is not to be right and it's not to be wrong. It's about entertain you. So as long as you were entertained, I did my job. If you're a subscriber, make sure you have notifications, because I will be going live tomorrow. I just don't know when, because, real life going on. I fit my live shows in wherever I can. So make sure to have the notifications on. And if you're not a subscriber and you're a college football fan, what are you waiting on? At least give us a try, okay? You can always unsubscribe if you don't like it, but hit the subscribe button, watch a few videos, and see if you like it. And if you like it, stick around. That's all we ask. Give us a try, and then if you don't like us, we're not everybody's taste, so I can't blame you. Anyways, I'm getting out of here, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope you were entertained. I hope you forgot about your stresses of life just for a little bit, because that's what it's all about. I will see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Make sure to have your notifications on, all right?